If you're comfortable with JavaScript, guess what? You already have everything you need to build some seriously powerful server-side applications. Today, we're going to take those skills you have, pull them right out of the browser, and drop them into the world of Node.js.
I mean, have you ever thought, I wish I could use JavaScript for a backend, or to build an API, or even just write a quick script for my computer? Well, if you have, you are in exactly the right place. We are about to unlock a whole new set of possibilities for the language you already know and love.
And we're not going to waste any time. We're going to move fast, but I promise by the end of this, you will have a solid foundation to start building real things. So let's just dive right in.
Okay, first things first. Before we can write any code, we need to get our environment set up. We got to make sure your computer has Node.js installed and ready to roll. Don't worry, this part is quick and totally painless. All you have to do is head over to the official Node.js website, that's nodejs.org, and just grab the installer for your operating system. Once that's finished, pop open your terminal or your command prompt so we can make sure it installed correctly. So, in your terminal, you're going to run two super quick commands. First, type node -v. That'll tell you the exact version of Node you just installed. Then type npm -v. npm is the Node package manager, and it's absolutely essential. If you see version numbers pop up for both of those, congratulations, you are officially ready to write some code.
All right, setup is done. Now for the really fun part. Let's write our very first lines of server-side JavaScript and actually see it do something.
So Node.js has this awesome built-in tool called the REPL. It stands for Read, Evaluate, Print Loop. All you do is type Node in your terminal, hit enter, and bam, you're in. It's basically a live playground for JavaScript. You type some code, it runs it instantly, and shows you the result. And if this feels a little familiar, it should. If you've ever opened up the developer tools in a browser like Chrome and typed some JavaScript into the console, you've basically used a REPL. It's the same idea, instant feedback, but instead of running in a browser, it's running right there on your machine.
Now, the REPL is fantastic for quick experiments, right? Like how does this little function work? But you're not going to build a whole application inside of it. For that, we need to actually save our code in a file.
So, let's make that leap. We're moving from the temporary scratchpad of the REPL to a proper, savable program. This is how real projects get built. And the workflow is super simple. Just make a new folder somewhere for your project, open that folder up in your favorite code editor like VS Code or whatever you use, and create a new file. We'll call it app.js, which is a pretty common name for the main file. Now let's get some code into that file. Just look at this. It's plain old JavaScript, right? Nothing scary. We're just declaring a few variables, doing a little bit of math, and then using console.log to print out the results. Simple as that. So, to make this code run, we go back to the terminal, but this time, instead of just typing node, you type node and then the name of our file, app.js. Node will read that entire file, execute it from top to bottom, and you'll see your console logs appear. And just like that, you did it. You ran your first real Node program.
Awesome. So you've written code and you've run it. But to really get what's going on, we need to talk for a minute about the environment your code is living in. Specifically, this idea of global objects.
See, when you're writing JavaScript for a web browser, there's this big overarching object called window that holds all the global stuff. Well, Node.js has its own version of that, and it's just called global. Simple enough, right?
Okay, but here's where it gets a little weird. In a browser, if you're at the top level of your script, the keyword this usually points to that window object. So you might think in Node, this would point to global. Let's actually see what happens.
It's an empty object. This is a classic little trap for people coming from the browser world. It's not a mistake, it's not an error, but it's definitely not the big global object we were expecting. So what on earth is going on? Well, it all comes down to one of Node's most powerful features, the module system. See, in Node, every single file is its own little self-contained module. To keep things clean and prevent variables from accidentally becoming global, Node wraps your file's code in a function behind the scenes. And because of that wrapper, this doesn't point to global. It points to an object that belongs just to that module.
Luckily, this used to be a confusing point. But now, there's a modern, clean solution. The JavaScript language itself introduced global this. This special P word will always give you the actual global object, no matter where your code is running, Node, a browser, you name it. It's the right way to do it these days.
So let's just step back for a second. In just a couple of minutes, you've installed Node, you've played around in the REPL,
You wrote and ran a real program from a file, and you even learned a key difference between the Node and browser environments. You literally have the fundamental skills now to start building things on the server. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build?